Hey guys, how we doing today? We are back looking at some photo bins, this time from Super Dirt Week, way back in 2006. Of course, the significance of this was that this was the first year without Glenn Donnelly. This was the Boundless, the world, not World Racing Group, but Boundless Motorsports, and their first go at doing Super Dirt Week at the mile. This was Thursday, so this was the first time the cars were hitting the track. By the way, that's the two-seater, and that's when it blew up. That's when it blew the motor. And the story I heard there is there was somebody from the military who was in the car. I guess there were flames and everything. He'd been through some stuff in the military. He said it was the coolest thing he'd ever done. There's our friends Adam Ross and Clinton Jeffries, of course. I think they were the dual airbags or something like that at the time. Rick Laubach, Scooby and the Quaker Shaker. He's so cool. He's got two nicknames like that. Pastor Wells and Patty there. And of course, you can see the grandstand right behind, so you know right where we are right there. That basically was the tech area at that point. And of course, as always, you got to do some little pounding out, get some of the panels straightened out. That would happen sometimes at Syracuse. Boy, how much do we miss this place? And, for a lot of us press people, and of course a lot of you that were in the pits as well, that was the number one spot to be right there. I believe this was small block time trials at this point. Might have even been somewhere along the way, but I remember the old pylon that was there, and you could look up and see what was going on. Somebody going through tech here on the front stretch. There's Adam Ross and the guys interviewing Matt Shepard. Well, look how young he looks. Again, this is almost 18 years ago, 17 and a half years ago at this point. So the Grosso Motorsports ride here. Kenny Tremont and the family going to work, and that's Kenny, I think, on the back. And this, I believe, is Tim Hindley, the 1H. I think he's still running down at Orange County. I'm not sure exactly who was driving for Burt. I believe it was K.O. Robidoux. If you know for sure, let me know. But I'm pretty sure who that was. Of course, Jack Johnson had one of the spots right next to the press area. And of course, his son Ronnie was right next to him as well. I believe either Ronnie or Jack was driving the 76. If you know, let us know in the message. And of course, remember, guys, please subscribe. Please leave something in the comments if you can. And turn on those notifications. Most of you guys do not have the notifications. Vinny Vitale, who is now in the fabrication business, also builds hot rods. We saw him at the show. Jimmy Phelps signing some autographs, signing a hat there, back when Gould's Pumps. Pat Ward and A.J. Kingsley. And in the background there on the left, that's Todd Milton, who is actually doing some cool stuff in road racing nowadays. Billy Decker, Pat O'Brien, as they were teammates back then. There's Tim Sears on the right, Tommy Sears on the left, back when Tommy was driving for JIR Motorsports. Of course, Steve Hulsizer, we miss you, buddy. Hope you're enjoying racing up in heaven. Your son Chris is keeping the family name out there. Kenny Brightbill looking over the car, making some adjustments on his tabloid graphics number 19. I don't know if you guys remember that. So now this was interesting this year because they did something that they had never done before. They actually added clay to the mile. And they had a little trouble at first, and so here they are, kind of grading it back up the racetrack. And I was fortunate enough to be able to go around in one of the safety trucks and see it. So they graded in water. They had a little trouble with it at first, and you can see here it's a little soft out there, so they had to do a little bit of work. This is in turn 3, by the way. You can see the old horse barn back on the other side of the fence, and here we are coming to the grandstand. So there was a considerable amount of track work that had to be done. Here he is, the racing principal, the flagger, Dave Farney, right from school. I think he was a principal at that time, so he'd have to rush there. He had a special parking spot so he could get in there and get time to change. Thanks for all you stuff that you guys do, our safety workers on the front straightaway. So as you see, we went back out, and you see it's looking a little better this time than it was before, although you could see that right there. That looks a little soft still, doesn't it? So I'll see how this all worked out. So it was time to line the cars up now and see what would happen. And I love, I always love going right down the middle of these cars while they're running. 900 horsepower shakes you, when you walk through. And so I always love getting right in there as close as I could. And we do that now during the summer. We get right in there while they're warming up and everything. And this was always something pretty cool that I liked. For us photographers, and the only reason I consider myself a photographer for this is because I had a camera in my hand. I had none of the manual focus and all the f-stops and all that stuff like the real photographers do. Everything was on auto for me. But you can see there's the wall on the inside right there. So the nice thing is you could get literally 10 feet away from these cars as they went through the corner, or closer, depending on how much nerve you had. So it was always fun. And there you can see the little lip where they packed in that clay. So at this point, nobody was really getting out into the clay. And you might not be able to tell, but there's some damage on the right rear there. So somebody heading back in on the cinder track. But this was always fun to get there. And the nice thing was, depending on the track conditions, the cars would look right at you when they're going through the corner. Here's the guys over in turn 3, and the scaffolding, I think, got a little higher than that years down the road. But it's always nice to see those guys there. And I'm amazed that nothing ever happened up there with the turn 3 gang. A tire, a piece of a car, because there was a lot of wrecks right in front of these guys. So give them a lot of credit for putting that thing together every year. Yellow out, there's Mitch Gibbs in the 55, Jack Johnson, and I believe that's Andy Bacchetti back there in the lime green car. His cars were always easy to spot, but you could see how it got a little lip up there with that clay. I don't remember for sure, and I'm going to pull another bin at some point from 2006 and see, but I think eventually they had to scrape that off. But you had to give a boundless credit, for doing that, because imagine, the cost it took to truck all that clay in there. Steve Payne getting out of his car here, and but if I'm not mistaken, it really didn't work out all that well. And there's, of course, Jack and Ronnie, and both of them always qualified well at Super Dirt Week. And Jack, we sure do miss you, and Ronnie, we hope you have a great season coming up. So there's your top 6. Kenny Brightbill took the pole on this one, so good for him. You see it was Jeff Trombley. Let me go back here. I went by that one too fast. So Kenny Brightbill, Pat Ward, Jimmy Phelps, they were the top 3. Jeff Trombley, Jack Johnson, and then Ronnie. So Jack at least beat his son by a little bit there on the timesheet. So, and there they are, the top 6 right there, which was always a wonderful moment to be able to get down and do that. Trombley had his mustache, that he doesn't have it anymore. So that's the last picture from this one. We do have a bunch of others that we're going to do here. I selected 4 that we're going to be putting up. This one I put up after the interview that I aired earlier. So I hope you like this. Again, subscribe, turn on the notifications, all that cool stuff. We got a lot of them that we're going to be putting up here in a little bit. Look for the next one is going to be Woodhull, believe it or not. And I was there for one of those firework nights that they had out there, and that was a lot of fun. Thunder Alley is also coming up, and a practice from Cayuga County from way back in the day. So again, subscribe, turn on the notifications, leave a comment, share, and see how many, if you have any thoughts on this, other things you might want from the archives, just let me know.